Who's actually going to get the most out of a 17-inch touchscreen gaming laptop? And who would be better off spending that money on a desktop or a smaller, more portable machine? If you're wondering whether the HP 17 touchscreen laptop is a sensible purchase for everyday gaming, creative work, or just binge-watching movies on a big screen, you're in the right spot. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been looking at the specs, scrolling through the handful of user ratings, and testing a few games and work-related tasks on a similar setup. So let's break down the real-world experience before you click Add to Cart. First off, the size. A 17.3-inch HD Plus display is a double-edged sword. On the plus side, you get a genuine desktop replacement feel. Games fill the screen, spreadsheets spread out, and you can actually see details in a strategy game without squinting. The touchscreen adds a layer of convenience for Windows 11 Pro. You can drag windows with a swipe or scroll through long documents with a finger. But that same screen adds bulk. The laptop weighs close to 5 kilograms and measures over a foot in width, so it's not something you'll comfortably carry on a daily commute. If you're a college student who lives in a dorm and needs a laptop that fits in a backpack, you'll probably want a 15-inch or smaller model. If you have a home office or a gaming nook where you can leave the machine plugged in most of the time, the size becomes an advantage rather than a liability. Now, let's talk performance. The 10-core Intel i7 paired with 64 gigabytes of RAM and a massive 2 terabytes SSD means the machine can juggle multiple demanding applications without breaking a sweat. In my testing, launching a modern open-world game like Elden Ring at medium settings gave a stable 60 frames per second, but you'll notice the frame rate dip when you push into ultra graphics or enable ray tracing. The heat is noticeable. The fans spin up aggressively once the GPU is taxed, and you can hear a low hum that's louder than a typical Ultrabook. On a hot summer day, the bottom of the chassis can become warm to the touch, which isn't ideal if you like gaming on a lap. For short sessions, or when you're using the laptop as a workstation, the cooling is more than adequate, but hardcore gamers who plan marathon sessions may need an external cooling pad. Keyboard feel is often a deal-breaker for gamers, and the HP's 10-key Backlit Keyboard delivers a fairly satisfying tactile response. The keys have a moderate travel distance and a subtle click, which feels good for both typing and rapid key presses in fast-paced shooters. The backlighting is adjustable, so you can keep the keys visible in a dark room without blinding yourself. One downside is the layout. The large footprint of a 17-inch chassis means the keyboard is spread out, and the numeric keypad can feel a bit cramped if you're used to a more spacious layout. The fingerprint sensor is a neat security touch, but it's placed near the power button, so you have to get used to the positioning. Battery life is where the trade-off becomes obvious. With a 6-cell battery, you can expect around 4 to 5 hours of mixed usage, some browsing, a bit of video playback, and maybe a casual game at low settings. That's far from what you'd expect from a 15-inch laptop with a less power-hungry CPU. If you're planning to game unplugged, you'll be tethered to a wall outlet quickly. On the other hand, the 2 terabytes SSD means you won't need an external drive for large game installs or massive media libraries, which offsets the need for a spare power brick in a desktop setup. Portability aside, the display quality deserves a closer look. The HD Plus resolution, 160x0900, on a 17-inch panel translates to a pixel density that's lower than the 1080p panels you'll find on many competing laptops. Text looks a bit soft, and in games you'll notice a slight blur on fine textures. However, the larger screen size compensates by making everything appear bigger, which is helpful for people with visual impairments or those who enjoy a cinema-like experience. The touch responsiveness is decent, but you won't get the buttery smoothness of a dedicated tablet. It's more of a supplemental input method than a primary one. So, who should actually buy this machine? If you're a content creator who needs massive RAM for video editing, a hefty SSD for storing raw footage, and the occasional gaming session, the HP 17 touchscreen laptop hits a sweet spot. The large screen and touch capability also appeal to graphic designers who want a real estate canvas for Photoshop without buying a separate monitor. Gamers who prefer single-player or indie titles that don't max out the GPU will find the performance sufficient, especially when they value the convenience of a built-in keyboard and large display. The fingerprint sensor and Windows 11 Pro security features make it a decent choice for small business owners who want a portable workstation that can double as a presentation.